We are going to look back at the recently completed Vancouver Canucks hockey season. The Canucks' incredible drive to the Stanley Cup did not begin when Roger Neilson took over from Harry Neale behind the bench, but it began on the night of March the 18th when the Canucks, winless in their last 8 games, skated onto the ice at the Montreal Forum to face the Canadiens team that had lost just once in their last 27 starts. Incredibly, a supposed light workout for the Habs turned into a Canucks victory. The final score, 4-2, as Darcy Rhoda got the hat trick. The score is tied 1-1 in the first period. Stan Smyl has the puck along the near boards. He pushes it forward to Thomas Gradin, who goes behind the net, feeds it in front to Darcy Rhoda, and the Canucks lead 2-1 after 1. In the second period, Kevin McCarthy at the right point shoots. Heron makes the save, and yes, it's the Tiger who converts the rebound to make it 3-1 after 2 periods. Early in the third, it's Rhoda and Gradin on a 2-on-1 break. Gradin to Rhoda. Darcy Rhoda has the hat trick, and that makes the score 4-1 Canucks. The Habs add another to narrow it to 4-2, but the Canucks win 4-2 in what proves to be a key game. 2 nights later in Quebec, the Canucks tied the Nordique, but the big story was a confrontation with fans. And NHL President John Ziegler held a hearing in Vancouver on March 26th. And here's why. Watch the near boards. Peter Stastny checks Tiger Williams, and Williams retaliates with a slash. A fight erupts, and other players get involved. The linesman then will push Williams against the glass. Now watch the right of your screen as a fan's hands go over the glass, sparking reaction from the Canuck bench. Trainer Larry Ashley moves in along with Mark Crawford. Seconds later, Doug Hallward comes to the scene to throw some punches, while Kurt Fraser and Roger Neilson hold back other fans. Then when the police finally arrive on the scene, an obviously upset Canuck captain Kevin McCarthy throws a glove at the irate spectator.
We have to have integrity of process, and you have to have fairness. Now, to ensure that, we have hearings, and we let people be represented at the hearings. And then when it comes time to setting a penalty, the things that we look at are the severity of the act, whether there's injury or no injury, and also the precedent. That is, what has taken place in the past.
By the tone of the meetings, the interrogation, the tape, the film, I feel about 100% sure there's going to be some suspensions. I don't know for how long or how many, but there definitely will be suspensions.
And as we know, it was Harry Neale that got 10 games from that incident. Well, the Canucks left La Belle Province with bigger and brighter things ahead of them. The long 80-game regular season schedule came to an end on April the 4th, with the Canucks riding the crest of a 9-game unbeaten streak. The team entered their 6th season of postseason activity, sporting a 30-33-17 record. And for the first time in their 12-year history, they opened a playoff series at home. Wednesday, April the 7th, the Canucks played host to the Calgary Flames, who finished the regular season in 3rd place in the division, a point back of Vancouver. Game 1 of the series was a wide-open affair as the Canucks skated to a 5-3 victory over the Flames. Game 2 proved to be a much closer checking game, as evidenced by the low-scoring 2-1 overtime victory for the Canucks. Tiger Williams scored the game-winning goal that put the Canucks just 1 win away from clinching their first-ever Stanley Cup playoff series. Vancouver traveled into the small confines of the Calgary Corral for the 3rd and what proved to be the final game of the series. On Saturday, April the 3rd, the Canucks successfully negotiated the first step on the stairway to the Stanley Cup. The final score was 3-1, and although each of the games were close, the Canucks swept the Flames in 3 straight games. The Canucks were the first team to wrap up the opening round of the playoffs, and they waited on the sidelines as Edmonton and Los Angeles stretched their series to 5 games. As it turned out, the Kings pulled one of the many surprises of the playoffs, upsetting Gretzky and company in the decisive 5th game in Edmonton. Round 2 of the playoffs kicked off Thursday, April the 15th at the Pacific Coliseum as the Canucks went up against Marcel Dionne and the rest of the boys from Southern California. The Canucks won the game by a score of 3-2, but the Kings evened up the series the following night with a 3-2 overtime victory as Castlegar native Steve Bozek notched the game-winning sudden death marker. The teams then packed their bags and headed to Hollywood, Inglewood to be exact, in the fabulous Forum, the site of games 3 and 4. Sunday, April the 18th, saw the Canucks involved in their third overtime game of the playoffs.
Seldion used his speed to score his 6th goal of the playoffs, and the Kings were up 3-2, but not for long. Vancouver's Stan Smeel knotted the game at 14-12 of the third period, getting the puck behind the Kings' net, then cramming a shot past a sprawling Lassard, and into overtime for the second game in a row. And just 1:23 into the overtime period, Campbell hitting his second goal of the night for a 4-3 Vancouver win to take a 2-1 lead in their best-of-7 Stanley Cup quarterfinal series.
The following night, the Forum was again filled with enthusiastic Kings supporters, but by evening's end, the LA hockey fans found themselves cheering for a team that was on the brink of elimination.
Williams gives to Ivan Boldarev. He slaps a shot past Doug Keynes, and it's 5-3. The Kings come back. Dean Hopkins feeds in front to Doug Smith. He shoots it past Richard Brodeur, but from there, Vancouver stiffens. They hold off every charge. Vancouver wins it. Final score, 5-4. Vancouver leads the series 3-1.
The teams then returned to the Pacific Coliseum for Game 5, which was to be the end of the rope, and all hope for the Los Angeles Kings. And another chapter had been written into the Vancouvers, believe it or not. Bernie Nichols goes in alone, and it's 1-0 L.A. Jim Nill comes back for the Canucks, and with Steve Bozak hanging on, Nill ties it 1-0. Late in the first period, Gradin wins the draw. Doug Hallward at the left point beats Lassard, and it's 2-1 Canucks. Second period, Jim Nill shoots, and Darcy Rhoda comes through with the rebound to make it 3-1. Kings on a power play, and they swarm the Vancouver net. Number 5, Larry Murphy, parked in front, beats Brodeur to narrow it to 3-2. Here's the big goal. A sharp angle shot from the corner by Darcy Rhoda goes in off Lassard. They add another. 5-2, the Canucks over the Kings. Vancouver eliminates L.A. in 5 games. Again, the upstart Canucks had wrapped up their quarterfinal series ahead of everyone else, and the team had 5 days to rest and mend before engaging in what was to be the toughest playoff round yet.
Great game. How does it feel? Oh, fantastic, Richard. Fantastic. I tell you, bring on Chicago or St. Louis. Let me tell you, it's great.
Hey, what was the big point in the game? You scored 2 goals tonight.
I don't know. Just same as every game, just a wholehearted effort by everybody, and Brodeur played tremendous for us. King Richard, we call him, and I tell you, it's just a great feeling. We got a beautiful bunch of guys, and it's a great feeling for one another, let me tell you.
Surprising to come through in 5 games over LA?
Every game was a battle, you know. I'm sure it could have went 7 games, but we'll take them.
I just, a really good feeling. I'm just relaxing right now. I was just trying to take a few days off just to celebrate and relax after this kind of series.
The team's all working hard together, and things are falling in for us.
How do you feel coming to a team so late in the year and then having the success at this point?
I guess I'm a pretty lucky fellow. Like, I was having a pretty tough year in St. Louis. I got a chance to play here, and we've been winning since I've been here, so I guess I came along just the right time.
Any other feeling that matches this one for you?
No, never. I can't believe it. You better pinch me, see if I'm awake. It's great. It's unbelievable. Guys are together now. It's great.
Tell me the feeling in the dressing room now. What does it compare to as far as other feelings you've had in hockey dressing rooms?
Well, it's one of the greatest feeling I had so far. I mean, I played in Wilton. I mean, I've been doing pretty good there a couple of times, but this is a really great feeling, and we think we can go all the way now.
We had a good series, but there's a lot of hullabaloo about beating out LA and Calgary, but as far as I'm concerned, and I'm not trying to be arrogant, we should have beat them out. After 80 games, we had a better record than LA and Calgary. So as far as I'm concerned, we should have beat both those teams on, and we did. And it's very satisfying. It's very satisfying for me as an individual, and as our team and our organization, and for the city. It's good to see a camera in this dressing room. I've never seen that in 3 years, and that's one of the things a lot of us have been striving for, is to stimulate this market.
Two down and 1 more to go to the Stanley Cup final. The question going around town was, could this be the year of the guys in those funny Halloween costumes? A Toronto newspaper man called them O'Henry bars, and that prompted O'Henry to send each Canuck a box of chocolate bars. Well, 5 games later, the question was going to be answered with a resounding yes. For the first time in the playoffs, the Canucks were to open a series on the road, the unfriendly confines of Chicago Stadium. Over 20,000 noisy fans were inside, packed to the rafters, but that didn't put any problem or any stop to the Canucks' quest to the final. as they skated to a tough 2-1 overtime victory.
Vancouver scored first when Thomas Gradin scooped up a loose puck near the Chicago blue line and beat Tony Esposito 8:02 into the first period. The Blackhawks tied it about 2 minutes later when Rick Preston centered to Terry Ruskowski, whose backhand went past Richard Brodeur to make it 1-1. The only scoring in the second period was from Ruskowski in the form of lefts and rights he landed on Colin Campbell. Later, Al Secord and Tiger Williams clashed along the boards. It was still 1-1 after 2 periods and after 3. The goaltenders had a superb game. Brodeur stopped 46 shots on goal. Esposito turned away 40. Neither allowed a goal after the midway point of the first period until 8:58 of the second overtime. Vancouver's Harold Snepp shot from the point, and Jim Nill put the rebound past Esposito to give the Canucks a 2-1 win in the first game of the playoff.
In Game 2, the Hawks' big sniper, Denny Savard, shook close checking of Jerry Minor to notch a pair of goals as Chicago recorded a 4-1 victory in what was a brawl-filled game that saw the birth of the infamous white towel.
They scored again. Dave Feimster beating Brodeur with a shot from the top of the circle to make it 2-0. It was the first time in this playoff that either team had a 2-goal advantage. But with only 1 minute and 1 second gone in the third period, Stan Smeel beat Murray Bannerman with a shot from the blue line to make the score Blackhawks 2, Canucks 1. Chicago came back about 3 minutes later as Dennis Savard got his own rebound, went behind the Vancouver net, and fired a shot past Brodeur to make it 3-1 Blackhawks. After Savard scored again late in the period, Canucks coach Roger Nielsen raised a white towel in mock surrender, and some of his players joined him. They also joined him in an invitation to leave the game. The Blackhawks won 4-1 to even the playoff at 1 game apiece.
The next day, Vancouver International Airport was besieged by 500 towel-waving fans as the Canucks returned from Chicago with the series tied at a game apiece, and they split what they had wanted.
Well, once we won the first one, you know, we would have liked to have got another one, but now it's a best-of-5 series, and we got the home ice, and we're hopeful our fans will be even more excited than the ones in Chicago, and if we can win the 2 games here, well, then we're in really good shape.
We knew we had to win at least 1 game to win this series, and we won the first game. We'd like to win the second, but the most important thing is we won at least 1 there, and we're looking forward to tomorrow's game and Tuesday's.
Well, it's too bad we lost yesterday, but we had 1 win of these 2 games, and I think we should be pleasant by that.
Game 3 found the Canucks adding another first to their ever-growing list of accomplishments as they went up 2-1 on Chicago in the first ever hockey game to be played in the month of May in this city. A 4-3 victory for the Canucks, and again the main reason was the shadowing job done on Dennis Savard by Jerry Minor.
A good hockey player and real quick and a lot of moves, and it's just not me. It's, you know, when I'm out there against him, I'm keeping an eye on him, but if I happen to lose him, I got, like, all 5 guys are told to keep a, you know, if I lose him, somebody's supposed to pick him up, and so it's just more or less everybody that's on the ice.
He was shut down pretty well here in Chicago. In that second game he wasn't. Why would there be that big a difference? He didn't seem to play nearly as well here.
I don't think he played, had the jump that he usually has, or it just seemed like 2 different players from in Chicago. He was just flying, and I mean, we tried the same thing, and I don't think he had the jump here in the third game as he did in Chicago, and well, hopefully it's because we did something right.
Could it also be the crowd, do you think, the effect of the crowd here as opposed to the crowd in Chicago?
Oh, I think that might have something to do with it. I think he likes playing in his own rink a little better than he does on the road, and he's not quite as chippy here in Vancouver. But that's 1 game. We still got tomorrow night, and we can do the same thing, and then that's good.
Well, actually, it didn't bother me too much, John. I think they've been doing a good job of checking me. But, you know, I've been looking at the films last night, see what they were doing, and I think I got something going for tomorrow night with my line mates.
You played awfully well in Game 2. What were you doing there that you weren't doing here the other night?
Well, I think I was really patient. I was waiting for my chances, which I didn't do last game. You know, I got really mad out there, and I wasn't playing my game at all. But, you know, that's part of the game, and I feel that tomorrow night I'll just play a different game than I ever played in the series so far with my line mates, and I think we could get something going.
Game 4, Tuesday, May the 4th at the Pacific Coliseum. The Canucks took 1 more step towards the Stanley Cup final. Once again, the net-minding aerobatics of Richard Brodeur frustrated the Hawks. The Canucks took a 5-3 victory and a 3-1 lead in games. Following the contest, there were more than just a few happy Canuck hockey players.
Right off the bat, I knew that the guys were ready and we were playing well. And even if they had a couple of chances right off the bat, I was playing great. And confidence was there tonight. Everybody was really confident about the game. And well, you know, like they say, Canucks can't score too many goals. When the last two games we proved we can't score goals. And I think it's a good feeling because if we go to the final, we need those kind of games, you know, to go through the Islanders.
And there's nothing more that you want than to face the Islanders, the team that really didn't have too much confidence in you.
If you have to beat someone in the final, you got to beat a champion. So they are a champion. Well, let's face it, we got to win another one first. And we'll talk about the Islanders after that one.
We were kind of letting down a little bit. We got up 3 goals and we weren't playing our game again. We were starting to play theirs, and we knew we had to get back to our style or we were going to be in trouble. So we come in the room and we talked about it a little bit, and we got out and tried to play the best we could, and it came out all right for us.
You know, I'm just happy with the win. I'm happy the way things turned out, and you know, it's going to be tough in there the next game, but I hope we can wrap it up there.
Game 5 and back to the thunderous Chicago Stadium, but the Canucks put the lights out on the Blackhawks in what was the ugliest game of the series with well over 200 minutes in penalties. But when the smoke had cleared, the Vancouver Canucks, those guys in the funny uniforms, were the Campbell Conference champions. And the team now had a date in the Big Apple, a date to face the Islanders in their first Stanley Cup final appearance.
With 1:34 left in the first period and Vancouver leading 3-1, the hostility between the teams broke out in violence. Every skater on the ice got into the fight, but the main characters were Chicago's Grant Mulvey and Vancouver's Ron DeLorme. The referee suspended the period and sent everyone to the dressing room. The remaining minute and a half was played after the regular intermission. Mulvey's jersey looked like a butcher's smock when he left. More than 100 penalty minutes were assessed for this altercation alone. In the third period, Mulvey's slap shot past Richard Brodeur pulled the Hawks to within 1, 3-2. But the Canucks let loose on Tony Esposito, Chicago's second goaltender of the night. They pelted him for 3 goals in the final 15 minutes and beat the Blackhawks 6-2 to take the Campbell Conference title 4-1. The teams lined up for the post-playoff handshakes, but hardly anyone believed they meant them.
And the decisive win in Game 5 of the series gave the Canucks a 4-1 win in the Campbell Conference final. And there is the Clarence Campbell Bowl. Captain Stan Smeel said, "I'm not accepting it without Harold Sneps." NHL Vice President Brian O'Neill presented the silverware, so the Canucks achieved their 3rd playoff series victory and their 2nd away from home. The Canucks leave Chicago Stadium with happy memories before continuing their 1-week road trip in Long Island for Games 1 and 2 of the Stanley Cup Finals against the New York Islanders. A strange yet wonderful feeling had fallen over this village by the sea. It was known as Canuck Fever. For the first time in years, hockey fans had something to cheer about and even sing about as the fever was sweeping everyone to a frenzy. The Canucks playoff story continues. They left the Windy City bound for Long Island in the Stanley Cup Final. The series opened on Saturday, May the 8th at the Nassau County Coliseum. And what transpired gave every Canuck fan a strong feeling that their team could give the Islanders a run for the Cup. A 6-5 overtime victory with Mike Bossy putting Game 1 to rest with 2 seconds left in the first overtime period. Game 2 was much of the same, but the Canucks could not contain the Islanders' power play as they fell behind 2 games.
The first period was sluggish, only 1 goal scored, and it was set up perfectly by Bobby Bourne, who fed Billy Carroll. 1-0 Islanders after 1 period of play. The second was rough and tumble. Jerry Miner got decked by Dave Langevin, and later, after the Canucks tied the game, Miner was put in the expensive seats by Brian Trottier. Vancouver took the lead on the power play. Ivan Boldarev gave the Canucks a 2-1 advantage. The Isles came right back on the power play. Mike Bossy's goal tied it at 2. There was a lot of hostility on the ice. Gord Lane provoked Kurt Frazier into taking a swing and a penalty. The lead seesawed back and forth, and so did the hockey sticks. Tiger Williams and Billy Smith got penalties for that. Then, with the score tied at 4, Brian Trottier was there to knock in Tomas Johnson's shot. The Isles prevailed 6-4.
On Wednesday, May the 12th, the scene at the Vancouver International Airport resembled a mob scene, something akin to Beatlemania at its height. The Canucks returned from New York and were greeted by thousands of enthusiastic, towel-waving, singing, and banner-carrying supporters. as you can see, thousands of well-wishers at the Vancouver International Airport to greet the Vancouver Canucks upon their return from New York. And many of the players said they really appreciate it, and it will certainly help them forget about games 1 and 2 in Long Island and look forward to games 3 and 4 at the Pacific Coliseum.
This brings us back to life, and I think we got a lot of confidence going in. We're not dead yet.
A lot of chances, you think, for games 3 and 4 to come through with wins?
I think so. We've been pretty confident in our building. We've only lost one, and that was in overtime. And knowing we came so close and being the Islanders, we should have split and maybe even took them both games. Just a lot of mental mistakes, and I think after the results in those 2 games, we were confident we could do something in Vancouver.
I think it's very good, Richard. It's, you know, I know it's going to lift our team seeing this today. I know our guys will respond to this, and we need these 2 games very bad. And we were confident before we left New York that our crowd would be enthusiastic in these 2 games, and I think it'll definitely help us win both these games.
Certainly something we didn't think would happen, but it'll be another step in getting motivated for tomorrow.
Looking forward to game 3 tomorrow,
Yeah,
right?
we
What
are.
kind of a game is it going to be?
I don't know.
Winner!
We're just going to go crazy, and I know the crowd will too.
Okay. Well, Darcy, how does it feel to be home?
Hey, Richard, how are you?
Excellent.
Yeah, great, fantastic. The support and the welcome's just great.
Can you compare it to anything else you've been through?
This is the greatest that's ever happened to me in my life, and hopefully you can do something Thursday night. And this series is a long ways from being over.
When the dog is afraid, he barks a lot, and that's what they did in New York. And they're here now, and I think they're just trembling in their pants right now because they're back in Vancouver, and they know it's going to be tough. And we're going to give it to them.
The Stanley Cup dream of the Vancouver Canucks received its hardest blow in Game 3. Despite incredible support from the hometown fans, the Canucks could not handle the Islanders' firepower as they fell behind in the series 3-0.
Early in the second period, Vancouver goalie Richard Brodeur cleared the puck but passed it right to New York's Brent Sutter, who passed to Clark Gillies, who had a clear shot at the net. Mike Bossy got his 15th goal of the playoffs 12:30 into the period, getting his own rebound and backhanding it in while falling to the ice. The Vancouver fans were waving their towels again, and Brodeur had another good night in the nets, turning away 30 shots, but the Islanders were simply too much for the Canucks. Brodeur was pulled from the goal in the final minute and a half, and New York filled it with the puck. Bob Nystrom getting an empty net goal. Islanders goalie Billy Smith racked up a shutout as New York won 3-0 to lead the Stanley Cup Finals series by the same margin.
It was a very good hockey game. There was a lot of shots. I thought Richard Brodeur played excellent, and if you call that a boring game, I don't know what you call a good game in hockey.
Certainly different, though, than the first 2 as far as the low scoring and the tight checking is concerned.
Well, what do you want? Do you want the cheap hockey that we had the first game, or do you want a good, sound skating hockey like we had tonight?
Okay, how do you feel yourself? A shutout in the Stanley Cup Finals must be a happy night for you.
Oh, yeah, it's a great night. It's a big win, but we can't go around being too happy. We still got to win one more big one. We haven't won anything yet.
We had some good chances early, and Billy Smith made some great saves. And then once they got ahead, they played an excellent game. They picked up the wingers. Their defensemen moved the puck quick, and you know, we really never got on track.
We really felt that this was the most important game of the series so far. We felt that we had to win this game because you know, you don't like to give the other team a smell.
Well, the Islanders played a strong game. You know, anytime you win, your system is working. But tonight we were too tired to come back, and had we got the lead, then it might have been different. But when they got the lead, we just couldn't seem to do it tonight, and we were playing a pretty good team to do it against.
With their backs against the wall and hopes to prolong the series, the Canucks took to the ice of the Coliseum for Game 4. The date was Sunday, May the 16th. And despite the 16,000-plus towel-waving Canuck fanatics crammed into the Coliseum, Vancouver fans were watching the final hockey game of the season.
Hoping for the impossible dream, the fans and their towels were in evidence again last night at the Coliseum. With just 2 minutes left in the first period, the Canucks fell down a goal, but then the steamer Stan Smyl managed to push in his own rebound past Billy Smith to tie the score. It was the only goal the Canucks would score on home ice in the series. The Islanders took advantage of Canuck penalties to score twice on power plays in the second. Bossy connected on his 16th goal of the playoffs. New York led 2-1, and then just 3 minutes later, Bossy scored again on a blistering shot that beat Richard Brodeur. Bossy, with 17 goals and 10 assists, was named the most valuable player in the playoffs. And the Islanders, as mentioned earlier, joined the Canadiens and the Toronto Maple Leafs as the only teams to have won the Cup 3 years in a row. They also become the first U.S.-based team to win 3 straight Cups.
Well, it was a tough series. You know, they didn't give up. That's for sure. They pushed us right to the limit. We had to work awful hard, and you know, I congratulate Vancouver. They worked hard. Nobody thought they were going to be in the finals, and they busted their butt to get to where they were, and they're a team to be reckoned with in the future. No question about that.
You know, when you walk into a building like this and you see so much support from the fans of Vancouver, you know, it's terrific to see. It's great for hockey. You know, they're behind their team 100, 200%, and it's just nice to see.
I think the only thing you can say is that they deserve to be here. They beat the teams that were there. The other teams had the opportunity to beat this team. I guess this team was better than them. So as far as I'm concerned, they deserved every right to be in the Stanley Cup Finals because they earned it. You know, there was criticism all over, but hey, listen, all these other teams had a shot at them, and they didn't win. So Vancouver, I thought, played extremely well, and they're a really good working team, and they really remind me a lot of our team a few years back.
Well, you got to give the Islanders a lot of credit, Paul. They're a fine team. They deserve the World Championship, the Stanley Cup. They played great hockey. We felt we gave it everything we had. We went in the island, and we thought we just played well to get a split, but you know, we didn't get that, and came back here. And the third game against the Islanders, they just played probably their best game they played all year. They beat us 3-0. And then the last game, we had some quality chances, but Billy Smith made some big saves when he had to.
Well, they beat us in 4 games, but I think, you know, they serve very good hockey games on the ice. Even I think Ziegler said it in the luncheon yesterday. 4 years ago, I said the team was grabbing, clutching, you know, and a hard-working team, and that was the Islanders.
Aside from the team party, which will be held tomorrow evening, one of the final items on the Canucks agenda was a luncheon hosted by the P&E this afternoon. Barry Houlihan was there and spoke to several of the players.
Well, I think we finished off pretty strong, and the reception we have been given from Vancouver people overall is just great.
You know, the pressure's on a little bit now for next year because they've got that close. They almost had a Stanley Cup champion. Now they want to see one. You know that.
Yeah, well, sure, his pressure will be on us, but the other hand, it's a little bit more fun to have the pressure on than not have anything. It's going to be tougher to do the work, but I think we will enjoy this more than anything else.
And for those Vancouver hockey fans who are concerned that Thomas Gradin might not be signing a contract and be back next year, you will be?
I will be, yes.
Well, sure, I'm pleased with what happened to me lately in the last few months. And well, the thing is, we got a big challenge in front of us next year, and we got all summer to think about it. And I love challenge, I love pressure, so.
You won't be sneaking up on anybody next year.
No.
They know you're good now.
Well, you know, everybody knows I'm going to be there, so I'm ready for them.
Now, how about next year? How many games do you see yourself playing? Because I thought towards the end of the playoffs you got just a little bit tired. You played so much.
Well, the thing is, you play almost every day. The first 2 series were really tough, you know, because you play every 2 days, you know, every day, and kind of get, you know, a little off my game. And well, I kind of came back when we had 2 days rest, you know, in the last series. I came back here and I was all right after a while. But you kind of get tough, but I'd figure to play about 55, 60 games next year for sure.
Oh yeah, last half, and I guess you know, we build up something really good here in Vancouver, I think, and it just doesn't happen overnight, and it took us a while, and it came all together right at the right time, and you know, we worked hard for what we wanted to get, I guess, Barry, and you know, with all we've been getting since the season's been over, all the activities, and it's been really nice, you know, but we're happy, and you know, what more, everybody's going to be pretty excited, I think, come next year.
Oh, it was great. You know, things really turned around for us at the end there. And the city, you know, jumped along with us, and unbelievable turnaround. You know, I've been here for 4 years, and it's just, you know, we've constantly lost in the first round. And, you know, we've got to taste what it's like now to get by the round there and see what happens and the people come along, you know, come alive and that. And I don't know, it was just great.
Well, it was just a fantastic finish. The regular season for me was a season of injuries. I had 2 injuries. I missed 29 games. But the finish was just fantastic, and the way things went, the support we got from the fans, and winning the games, and the growing together as a team, things that I'll cherish the rest of my life, and I think nothing but good things are going to happen here in Vancouver.
Playoffs seemed to bring the best out of you, Darcy, I thought.
Well, I think it brought the best out of a lot of guys, and everyone just knew they had to dig down. You were just playing for one another, and you knew you had to depend on every other guy to do the job out there, and that was just a situation where just everybody just stuck together and worked very hard, and
I just hope that things will happen like this next year.
Well, I'd love to correct the January segment. That was a little depressing there. But the end results was fantastic. So this is just a fantastic feeling, great feeling. And just hopefully we could do it again next year and win the thing.
Now, looking back, honestly, Harold, heading into the playoffs, did you ever think you'd make it to the finals?
Well, our goal was, especially at the start of the year, was going from step one and winning the first round. And then from there, we were playing so good, we were playing really good hockey, and we had a lot of momentum, a lot of confidence. And we looked at the teams we were facing, or who we could face, and everybody started believing in that one goal of going all the way.
The Canucks season is over, but the memory lives on, and you saw the key goals, interviews, and festivities here on Sports Page. Well, that's all we have time for on tonight's show. Tomorrow night, Tom Thompson will be here with another edition of the Marine Report, and we'll have highlights from the Vancouver Whitecaps Hajduk Split soccer match at Empire Stadium. I'll be your host again tomorrow. I'm Richard Saxton. So long, and I hope you enjoyed the show.